Go ahead.
My name is Dr. Theresa Trevino. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist, and also was a member of a commission in 2016 on the next generation of assessment and accountability. So while I didn't spend a year on a commission, I did spend a good 9 months. So I have an idea of, somewhat of an idea, not quite as complex. First of all, I want to say thank you for inviting me to come and share my opinions. Also, I want to thank you guys for the hard work that you are trying to do to try to fix this very complicated system. And that is, I know it's going to be difficult, and I know there's a lot of discussion still to be had. But I do need to let you know why I didn't sign my commission report. High stakes. And we have asked since our formation 8 years ago, with the passage of House Bill 5, we have said, please do not put high stakes on the STAAR test. It has not been proven to get kids across the finish line. It doesn't get them to post-secondary. All it does is make sure that they know how to take a standardized test. And that is still our concern. So when we came across the commission recommendation, which I think is Section C, recommendation number 3, to increase the focus and weight attributed to high-stakes standardized testing on 3rd grade, we became very concerned and alarmed about this. We have grave concerns about the STAAR test, and this has been from its inception because we've been very concerned about the fact that STAAR was not simply harder or more rigorous, but literally written grade levels above where the students were being taught, and that is still going on today. And no matter how much goes on in all the great work that the teachers are trying to do to help prepare the kids, I guarantee you that a lot of that work has to do with STAAR prep. And what high stakes does is it leads to drill and kill. I've got some information up there in front of you. I've got a white paper that we've written based on years and years of research on high stakes and standardized tests. Even the first person who developed standardized tests, the Iowa Test of Basic Skills, how many of you guys took those? I did. He even said, do not place one measure, do not use one measure as the sole measurement of a student's success or how they've done for the year. And yet that is what STAAR has become. State standardized tests written the way that they're written were not meant to be used for monetary purposes or for the various purposes that it has become used for. I mean, I know our commissioner is extremely smart and he can present you with all kinds of data and depth of knowledge and all kinds of stuff that's going on there. But he's leaving off some very important pedagogical theories behind what it takes to read. And that is important. We are all for pre-K. We are all for getting the kids in earlier, getting them started earlier. We all know we're a diverse state, and we know we need to improve. But getting them just to pass a standardized test and basing it just on that is not the only answer. We've been asking for this now for 4 years, 4 sessions. You have not seen us, some of you, at the level of red alert as we were on our first session with the passage of House Bill 5. We had parents lock up the governor's phone line. Lock it up. I mean, they had to put in other phone lines. We had them call their representatives. If this goes through, and we concerned about this, we did a poll. It was a random poll, but it was a poll asking, do you approve the use of high-stakes standardized tests for 3rd graders? Unanimously, it came back within 24 hours, a hard no at 98%. That was 2,000 of our members, and we're in the further thousands than that. Here's what our concern is. If you go through with this particular item, an 8-year-old, think about it, an 8-year-old is going to be responsible for making additional commission for their school. And if they happen to make the grade and they're in that lower performing school, they'll make some money. How many of them? I don't know. We would hope we would have them on grade level. But again, we don't trust the test. I mean, this is about as blunt an instrument as a scalpel that hasn't been sharpened correctly. Would you want surgery done that way? Of course not. This, with the ACE system, while it is showing tremendous promise, and we are thrilled to see it, basically what Dallas is doing is just getting to where they needed to be. I mean, these are things that many districts have been working on for years. Now, I applaud them. I think they've done a great job, but I don't think that using one system in one city across the entire state, as diverse as it is, from rural to urban, from high ELL to low ELL, from way out in the Panhandle to way out in East Texas, I don't think you can apply a one-size-fits-all system. And that is exactly what we have said about the STAAR test. You can't do this. All you have to do in terms of looking at incentivizing for test scores and looking at teacher incentivization projects is look at the Denver portfolio study. Denver has been doing this for 10 years. Their NAEP scores have only improved a tad. Their student achievement gaps have widened from 2007 to 2017. So they were doing pretty well. They were kind of going on course, and then boom, they put this kind of system in place, and now they've got wider student achievement gaps than they've ever had, among the widest in the nation. Texas is making headway in this, on the NAEP with this. We don't want to go in the same way. So we're going to be trepidatious about this. We don't want to just go all in. Let's stop. Let's have a discussion. Let's talk about this, please. Because I'll tell you what, if we go down this road, you're going to hear from parents and you're going to see us on red alert, just like some of you did for H Bill 5.
I got it. That you were invited here to provide that. I don't think that's helpful to if you know, I interpret that if you're not getting your way, you're going to say something. I don't think that's who you are. So
no, I'm not trying to say I want to get my way,
yeah,
Representative. And let me be clear.
I know. Let me finish real quick. There's some newer members of this committee who don't know the background and everything else. I just think it's important for, you know, while we invite you to be here, to be, you know, to exchange ideas as we go forward.
Absolutely.
I think that's the most important thing. And so my point is that what I'm hearing is that if for whatever reason on outcomes-based funding we're tying it to some mechanism, whatever that may be, it sounds like you're not going to like it, and all of a sudden you're going to light all these members up on this committee to say, hey, you can't do that. So I would encourage you to do the same thing that I've talked to variety of other people about, is then give us some other mechanism and measurement tool. We're happy to take a look at anything that's out there. But the reality is, I want you to separate the STAAR test.
See, this committee, this does not separate STAAR test. Well, and the one thing that Dr. Hinojosa did not mention, and I mentioned to him when I went out to talk with him, is that he is not just solely using STAAR test.
Right.
And I understand. Don't make no mistake. We're not against assessment. We are not against assessing our kids. We want to know that our kids are on level or are on track to go to that post-secondary something that's out there. Make no mistake. However, the STAAR already is, when you look at 3 through 8, it is the accountability system right there. So we've already got those two married. When you get into high school, there's a little bit more leeway, and we're not completely opposed to the looking at outcomes once you get there. And in fact, what we have looked at is saying, well, what about looking at the standardized tests that colleges and universities require? They require ACT, they require SAT.
I don't disagree with
We have our own TSI that are based on our TEKS. we've been pushing for that as another option to get more kids into dual credit. I mean, I'm not trying to say, look, we're going to slam the STAAR and that's it. But we need to remove some of the teeth, because I'll tell you what, it's not giving us all the information that we think it is.
Well, let's and we'll get there. But again, and I fully expected, based on who you represent, for you to talk about the test.
Sure.
I'm not debating that. Today that's not where our focus is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, will our focus be on the STAAR test, and if it's working, if it's grading where it is? Absolutely, we're gonna tackle that issue as we go forward. We've heard all kinds of of hyperbole about what's going on or what's not going on, or is it testing at grade level, is it not testing at grade level, and we'll have everybody in to talk about it. But I just want to be very clear, that the expectation is that we made a recommendation after 12 months of sitting around and saying, how do we get better results?
Right.
How do we get better results? How do we get our children to be able to read? And I think Dr. Allen probably said it best, is that we're not teaching our teachers how to teach to read.
Exactly.
Well, understand that. But then shame on the school districts and everybody else that say, give us more money. Just listen. That just say, just give us more money and we'll get better results. Well, I don't think that's actually accurate right now. So we have to figure out a way to get the money where it belongs, into the classroom and to those teachers, and so that they can teach those kids to read. But we need a measurement. We need whatever the end result is, whatever it's going to be. We need to be able to measure it. We need to be able to figure out, did that child grow, and if he did grow, to be able to make that decision.
If you're talking about growth, again, and with my
also
work on the commission,
also being at grade level on all those other issues.
Well, and looking at and being on the commission, I mean, we discussed many times over growth, measuring growth, putting more emphasis on growth versus grade level, because even back then we had grave concerns about STAAR. And even your bill, Representative Huberty, 736, asked for a validity study in addition to doing other measures to try to make the STAAR a little bit easier for the kids to take. So we've been in conversations with this for a long time. Our concern is, it's not that it's money for money's sake, but I don't know about you, but I'm not living on my salary that I made in 1984. I'm not. I mean, I've been able to get a raise and kind of move on, and inflation and so on and so forth. Not even my parents, who are government, Texas state government retirees. My mother's TRS and my father is ERS. They have received very, very small, minimal raises. But our school system has not. So I don't really just see it as us throwing money. I think we need to put the money into programs that work, that have the research that support they work. And we've heard a lot of that today. We've heard a lot about pre-K, about offering universal pre-K. If you want to look at other states, Florida instituted universal pre-K, and they've seen results on their NAEP. I mean, it goes along with a lot of other factors, but we're such a huge and diverse state. I don't want us to get stuck on thinking that, okay, we're going to hang it all on STAAR and what happens in third grade, because there's a lot of growth that goes on beyond third grade.
Once again, I think you that's not at all what I think any of this committee has said. I'm looking around and seeing if that's the case, and I'm telling you, that's not what I've said.
Okay.
I've repeated myself over and over and over today. Then come up with what you think is a better measurement tool. We're happy to look at it. We're happy to have that discussions, but we've got to have the results. And we're going to give her one. We're going to do all kinds of things that are going to be very creative, but the current system is not working.
No, it's not.
So,
and it's been going on for 35 years.
I'm aware, and we're trying to change it. And so, that's what I'm saying. It's important. Yes, Mr. Toller.
Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Yes.
I'm trying to get my head around this kind of conversation. It feels like so much of it gets confused. So I just want to kind of propose a counterfactual and see what you're thinking. So if we had a test that was seen and as legitimate and valid and accurate by our education community, let's assume that, because I know we all have problems with the STAAR test.
Right.
What would you then think about this outcome, particularly this early literacy allotment?
Well, once again,
I'm just trying to separate the
trying
problems
to
with the
separate
test.
the two. Okay. I still don't think, and I will tell you that many of the Western cultures that are doing well don't necessarily tie their educational funding to a measure. It is a process that goes on for years, and there are multiple things that are going on. I mean, you know, we look at Finland, you can look at the Netherlands. I mean, the commissioner oftentimes looks at Singapore. But they, and granted, they're different cultures they provide different services and so on and so forth. So we really can't compare. But there's not been any kind of research that has shown that doing that actually works. And that's the concern, is we're finally going to get to a point where we want to finance our education system and finance it in a way that's fair. Tying it to outcomes-based testing, I think, I don't know, you can read my white paper, but it will pervert what it is you're trying to do, and I don't know that it will continue to have persistence.
Okay, no,
that's the
helpful.
concern.
So you and your and the members of your group, it's fair to say, both problems with the current assessment regime, the STAAR test, but also
Right.
a philosophical disagreement with tying investments or incentives to student performance. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, no, that's helpful. Thank you.
Like Dr. Hinojosa said, fund the basic allotment, all boats rise. That's where we would stand on that. Thank you.